Hi, Cal from BHP UK, and today we've got the absolute pleasure of welcoming Ryan from Bikes of Fry, along with his S1000R for some dyno and remapping work. We met you initially, didn't we, at Motorcycle Live last year?
Right. Yeah.
We spoke about mapping your bike then. So you've got this S1000R. Can you tell us what you've done to it so far?
Yeah, so far it's had a full Black Widow exhaust system on it. So headers plus slip-on, so no catalytic converter, a straight through system. But other than that, yeah, pretty much standard.
Right, okay. It's a 22 bike, right?
Yeah.
And as far as the tuning is concerned, what are we looking for?
So I'm looking to extract as much power as I can from this engine. It's got no catalytic converter now,
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see what it is capable of.
You've had this on a dyno already. It's been making somewhere near 165, what you're saying, at the back wheel?
Sure, yeah.
Which is, yeah, it's about right, I guess, for the for a decatted bike. They run the same engine as the XRs, don't they?
Yeah.
And we've done lots and lots of development on the XRs, on the Euro 5 XRs.
Yeah, so I think it'd be nice to know that the bike's running right, because, you know, we've removed the catalytic converter now. I'd like to know what the bike is capable of.
Yeah, well, let's get it. I've already rigged it up to some OBD logging stuff, and should we get it run up, see what it's doing?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what it's saying, really.
On this particular bike, we're going to look at engine temperature, just to make sure the engine's running in temperature and we're not mapping it while it's cold. Engine speed, so we can tally that into the dyno. Injection time, so we know how many milliseconds the injectors are open for. The accelerator sensor, which is how much throttle we're demanding off the TPS, throttle position sensor. The actual opening at the butterfly, because it's fly-by-wire in different modes, you're going to get at 50% throttle. You may get 50% depending on the mode that you're in. At the throttle butterfly, you may not. You may get more, you may get less. On top of that, we're logging injection and spark advance. So from that, we'll know that the maps we've actually developed will still be fit for purpose for this bike. We'll get it run and just make sure that it is giving us the data and the values that we're expecting, and then we'll go ahead and put a map on it. So Alex has put the map on for us. It's time to run it again on the dyno to see what we've actually achieved. Well, that's the run's done on the dyno. We actually got it in one run, cool. On one map. Like I said, we have done quite a few of these in the past.
Yeah. Same
sort of software that the Euro 5 XRs are using. Little bit of differences. I think that will let you rev out a little bit more.
Okay.
Some of the throttle maps are slightly different.
Okay.
But principally the architecture of the two bikes is pretty much identical, really.
Sure.
A little bit of changes made to the demand and the throttle angle management maps.
Okay. So the rev limit has been.
I've actually taken it to 12.5.
Okay. And that's safe to do so, is it?
Yeah, it's fairly safe at that.
Perfect. Okay. And I noticed actually so I was watching the screen as you was doing the runs, yeah. And before the map, so you can see the air fuel.
Yes.
Like feed out, the feed, the graph going up and down.
Yeah. And
before the run, it was in the red a lot of the times, right? Yeah. And now it just seems pretty much in the green.
Yeah. So predominantly, that's the biggest changes that we've got to make. That's really, the lion's share of the work to get the fueling right. At every point now, from sort of like pretty much 1400, 1500 RPM,
okay.
We've richened it up a little bit. We've richened it more at the lower throttle openings. Wide open throttle is not so bad at the factory, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So we hadn't had to add a huge amount of fuel at the wide open throttle. But the other thing to note is we don't aim for 13.2 everywhere.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's an old metric that tuners use, that the target is 13.2. Which
13.2 is
AFR ratio.
AFR ratio, right?
Yeah. If you're at 13.2 everywhere, the bike will not run right through traffic and it won't be as responsive as you want it. You can bog rich as well as you can bog lean. So lower down will be a little bit leaner than that,
okay.
But not as lean as it was at the factory.
Cool. And throttle Like the throttle restrictions, were there any and are they gone?
There were, and they're totally programmed out. There's a couple of different ways that they use throttle restrictions. One is just in a map that gives you throttle restrictions. It doesn't let you have 100%, because it's fly-by-wire. What you're doing at with the throttle grip isn't necessarily what you're getting at the throttle butterfly.
That was always my concern when I was riding it. You know, you think, well, am I getting, say, wide open throttle? Am I getting full power right now? I know obviously the rider modes might intervene in places, obviously traction control and whatever, but when you turn that all off and you give it full beans, I always just think, am I getting full power? Am I really?
I don't think you are, no. You've got a couple of restrictions in the low gears and some at wide open throttle lower down.
Okay.
So even when you're higher up, even in Dynamic Pro, when you wind the throttle on, lower down in the rev range, you're not actually getting 100% throttle.
Okay.
It's one of the things we were logging in the through the OBD.
Sure.
And I did actually do some recordings for that.
Okay.
Which reminds me, I don't think I've switched the recordings off. I'm just using some data up there. But now, when you request 100%, one thing we do is at 100%, you're always getting 100% throttle.
Right.
Most of the throttle angle management curves we leave as they are, unless it's a special request. So your modes will all work. Your dynamic, your road, your wet, all those modes will actually work fine. So
in road mode, dynamic pro, you're getting the same performance throughout. Obviously,
you're
I know
getting the same throttle openings. The performance will obviously
the road throttle mat would be different to the dynamic pro throttle mat.
Mostly at the bottom end. If you, I can go through some of the loggings we've done actually in all the different modes on the XRs. At the bottom end is where you see the differences. Above 60 or 70%, all the curves seem to start to come together a little bit.
So I've got a question for you regarding the fuel. Okay, I typically use the premium fuel. Yep. Would I find any difference if I just run
normal 95 octane?
95?
We get asked this an awful lot. Okay, so there's no difference in the amount of power that your bike will produce between the two different fuels. Okay. Now, before everybody jumps down my throat, let me clear that off a little bit. Right, the higher octane the fuel is, the more resistant it is to pinking. If your bike starts to pink on standard fuel because it is designed at the factory to run on high octane, then you need to run it on high octane.
Okay.
If you do nothing to the maps on the timing side of things, if you have got a bike that's designed to run on 95 octane and you put 100 octane in it or 99 octane, it's not going to make any difference to your performance because you're not turning up the advance. On a race bike and some bits of tuning that we do, because you're turning the advance up, you're going to need higher octane. On your bike, no you don't. If it says it'll run on 95 octane, we haven't done that much to the timing to make it need high octane fuel.
Interesting. So do you still recommend me run it on premium though?
Personally, I don't. I just if the bike's designed for 95 octane, I run it on 95 octane.
Okay.
What I will do though, in winter now, I store my bikes on E5.
Okay.
Okay, so what have we managed to achieve? It came to us, I mean, it's a hot day today, isn't it? It's 35 degrees in the day.
I was stunned how warm it is in there actually. Yeah. And I just think that must be affecting the results, I guess.
It does a little bit. I mean, we've got some standardization, but it only gives you so much.
Okay.
But obviously we run it on the same day. We started with 162 at the back wheel. Okay. 162.9, and we're up to 168.9. Okay. Good separation from start to finish, but at 25% and 50% is where we made the biggest gains. Okay. 50% throttle, we're running it quite substantially richer than it is at when it leaves the factory. You can see there's in the graph here about 9,000 RPM. The little flat spot's gone. We've put 500 RPM on the rev limiter, like we said. It gives you a little bit more rollover. 25% throttle again. That's probably the biggest gain that we've made.
I notice a lot of hesitation and you know, it is badly fueled, I think. Yeah. You know, at 25% throttle, as you mentioned, I think that it's terrible there, personally.
So we've gone a lot richer there, and there's a couple of bits off that we've put advance back in. So we've put a little bit more time advance in. At the factory, when they take the fuel out, it's running leaner, which means they've got to take some advance out. So we put the fuel back in, we put the advance back in. That really helps with your throttle response. Okay. A bit of pre-acceleration enrichment is added in. So as soon as now, I mean, we'll take it out on the road and we'll have a run up to settle, get a coffee. Sure. and you can make your own mind up as to how much difference it makes. But
Cool.
it should be a real substantial change.
Okay, look forward to it. And also the cold start.
Cold start, we've got rid of the cold start
Good.
for you. Got rid of that altogether.
Because driving here this morning, starting up at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
Not ideal, not with a full system.
not popular with your neighbours, are you? No, we've deleted that. We can delete that on all of them, really.
All right.
Exhaust valve's gone. Interesting though, with the stock cans, we can program the exhaust valve to do what we want it to do. So we can either program it to come open earlier than it would,
Okay.
than it would at standard, or we can program it just to remain open all the time. Should we get the bike gear on and take a run?
Yeah.
Grab some lunch,
Let's go.
and then I'm going to leave it to yourself, and you can come back with a review as to how you feel.
Cool. Yeah. No worries. Look forward to it.
How you feel about the bike and what differences we've actually made.
Sounds like I'll have to take it a bit easy. So we just pulled up on the bikes. We're in a place called Settle. We went into the old, was it called the Old Naked?
The Old Naked Man Cafe.
The Old Naked Man Cafe.
It's a popular bike stop.
Yeah, but anyway, let's talk about the S1000R and the tune. Absolutely phenomenal. It's completely transformed the bike in my opinion. Certainly picked up power in the mid-range. It's so noticeable now. Of course, it's a lot smoother too. I didn't get a chance to really rev it out because, to be honest, once it gets about 10,000 RPM, you want to let go because it's just going berserk. But yeah, honestly, I can't believe the transformation it's made.
Well, thanks for your initial review there, and we'll look forward to the full video.
Wicked.
Right back and get some tea and we'll let you get on your way.
Nice one.
All right.
Cool.